Very good morning to you. I'm talking to you from a forestry plantation area near Mohill in County Leitrim. It was recently harvested, and I'd like to talk to you about the work of ORourke brothers. I first came to know about Ken ORourke and his company and business from my cousin, who harvested about 100 acres near Mohill, near Carrick-on-Shannon. And I just would like to talk to you about the experiences that I had. I must say I've travelled this morning from Wicklow down to Leitrim here, and I have come because out of my respect for the ORourke brothers and the work that they have done for us here. I have also a close friend nearby who's the MD of Jet Wash, a company in Carriganal, County Leitrim, near the border here. We're very close to Fermanagh, Longford and Cavan, and he was very, very satisfied with what they have done. Ken is most professional, courteous and extremely helpful. When I began this process of harvesting something like 15 acres here, he was very helpful because I had trouble getting my license. I got a felling license and then it was rescinded. And I was quite upset about this, and it was some time later, after receiving the license, then it was rescinded a couple of weeks later with a follow-up letter. And it was almost 12 months when I finally got the green light. And Ken was extremely helpful in this process, not being very familiar with it. So they came and harvested the 15 acres, and it was a very professional work, I must say. It's a highly professional organization, and I was absolutely delighted. Before we began the work, Ken was working nearby on a large site, over 100 acres, with my cousin, who's a businessman in Dublin. And there were all positive vibes that I was receiving from my cousin, whom I'm quite close to. So Ken came here twice or three times. He was very available. He's most courteous and most efficient. And we sat down, had a cup of tea or coffee, and we planned out the work. And he gave me an exact date when the harvester would be coming. And certainly on that date, the harvester came. We had trouble getting into the site, but we looked at a number of options, and thankfully I had to get a JCB to do some levelling before we began. So it worked very, very smoothly, and the company ORourke brothers moved in, and they had the work done in almost a week or so. A short time after that then, a forwarder came and they cleaned the site. It was a very clean, clear site. That I was left with. I was most impressed, and all of the secondary stuff, what's called, I think the term is brash, it was all removed and brought to the exit point along the roadway, and there's where the wood chipping took place. I was most impressed in terms of the process from beginning to end. I left, as you can see, a peripheral number of trees, and that was planned by Ken in terms of space, and there's the wind damage, there's no wind damage. And really, I suppose I don't like a bare site. I don't like what I call the Nagasaki look. I like to have the younger trees that are now planted. There are something like 8 or 10,000 young trees. It's a very neat entity, it's a very neat area. And the trees on the periphery, it's you know, it provides a lot of shelter for the young trees growing, and it's close here to school and church and that, and it's the whole optics, I suppose, of the planting that I'm very satisfied with. The log flow, I was most impressed, or log watch, I think it's called. The highest of technology. I work in academia in a university in Dublin. I have very little time to come down and oversee the work here, but all of the information was supplied to me via Logwatch, and I was able to see what was being removed from the site with the lorries and trucks and so on. And furthermore, I should state that the payment was very efficient. It's a wonderful success story for ORourke brothers. I understand from Ken that they're something like 30 years in business, started off with a few chainsaws and a few small trailers, and now they're truly international, doing work in Scotland, in France, in England. ORourke brothers I would recommend anywhere. Most efficient and most impressed. I work professionally in, as I said, in a university. I'm very pernickety, and I like to see things done well. And by God, did I get a very professional job done by Ken and his other brothers, other siblings. So I would be delighted, and I'm always available to discuss with anybody interested in forestry. I have an interest in forestry. I'm planting more. There's more ground here that I'm planting over the next year or two, and I would be delighted to talk to anybody about my experiences in terms of the harvesting and the removal and the cleaning of the site, which was most impressive. My forester that planted the young trees, just all he had to do was just move in and get the work done and to get some chemicals and sprays done for that awful creature called the weevil. So yeah, I highly recommend ORourke brothers. Delighted to be associated with this promotional video. Thank you.